This may have been my fault.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
What did I say yesterday, Producer Evan? I said, all I care about during training camp, all that matters, I don't care how guys look in the 7-on-7 drill. I don't care how many picks or touchdowns a guy throws in a red zone drill. Just be healthy. Just get to the start of the season and have everybody that you're supposed to have ready to go. And while I don't necessarily believe in the idea of jinxes, I do understand the timing of me mentioning it yesterday and then later on in the day us finding out that Walter Nolen, first-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals, is going to miss the start of training camp with a calf injury. So I think while I don't want to put all the blame on me, I will at least apologize for putting it out there because it happened rather quickly after I said it yesterday. A calf injury that he suffered while training in the offseason, according to head coach Jonathan Gannon. The team would not put a timetable on his return. The phrase that was used was miss some time, and Jonathan Gannon would not rule out that Walter Nolen could miss the start of the regular season. And unfortunately, it feels a little bit like deja vu, because wasn't it just last summer a first-round defensive line pick from the Arizona Cardinals missing training camp, missing the start of the season with a calf injury? Didn't we just do this last offseason with Darius Robinson? We're doing it again now with Walter Nolen. It just feels like a very bad case of deja vu. Now, let's talk about the good and the bad of this. The bad, obviously, is you have a rookie player that we all think can be incredibly impactful for the Arizona Cardinals this season, that is going to not be able to get up to speed with the NFL game, with the way this defense is going to utilize him. He's sidelined. He can't do anything. He can't get ready to go with his brand new team for the start of the season. That's a bad thing. That's going to set him behind the eight ball. We saw last year what the injury did to Darius Robinson. Last year for Darius Robinson was basically a redshirt year as a pro. Was unable to give the Cardinals anything of value, really, when he was finally able to get back into the lineup in the second half of the season. So that is obviously a concern with Walter Nolen, that while Jonathan Gannon did say it was different than the Darius Robinson situation, that's the thing that comes to mind for all of us. We lived through that last year. I can remember sitting in this chair telling everybody, hey, Darius Robinson's coming off of a major injury. He's a rookie. You're starting him, week 11, week 12 of the season. It's going to take time for him to ramp up. This whole year's a wash. Now, I don't know if we're there yet with Walter Nolen. Let's see how this process plays out. But again, that's where your mind first races to yesterday. So that's the bad. The good, unlike last year, the Arizona Cardinals were not equipped to handle a Darius Robinson injury. They did not have the depth along that defensive line to weather that storm at the start of the season. You're less concerned about that this season because this team has Darius Robinson. They invested money this offseason in Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson, two veterans at the position that raised the floor and the ceiling of that group. You are much better equipped to deal with this. You never want to deal with an injury of this magnitude this early in the season. And yes, I do believe this is a serious injury, even though it doesn't look like it's going to cost Walter Nolen his entire rookie season. Just a bad start for a rookie that we all think can make an impact. It's going to take him a little bit longer to make that impact on a defense that we know needs to be better. So this is significant. Do I think the season is over? Do I think the season is doomed before we've even played a game? No. But the Cardinals are equipped to handle this a lot better than they were able to handle the Darius Robinson injury a year ago. He suffered that injury in August, so a little bit later in the calendar, and he missed the first 11 games of the season. So when is Walter Nolen able to get back on the field and start training? When are we able to see Walter Nolen in a regular season game? All of that remains up in the air. You don't love that the head coach wouldn't rule out that he would be unavailable for week 1 of the regular season. So we are 2 days into camp, and the Cardinals are already dealing with something. something serious, something that's a little bit of a speed bump, a roadblock right now. Fortunately for them, they've been down this road before, and they're better equipped to deal with this situation this go around.
I was going to say that. You know now what it'll look like just because you dealt with this last year. And there's two ways that'll help the team. One, you understand, okay, losing Walter Nolen, what are we losing up front? Where do we need to make an addition? Do we have somebody in-house that can fill that role? All of those questions need to be answered first. The second one is, if it is week 2 or week 3, how can we get Walter Nolen up to speed on what the NFL game is going to look like without a full training camp? And what does that look like? Does that look like getting him snaps on just first downs early in the year and then ramping him up later in the year? Whatever process you need to do, you dipped your feet in the water last year and hopefully learned from it.
Right.
To move forward with Walter Nolen in whatever situation you need to.
Yeah, Darius Robinson, when they brought him back, they brought him along slowly. And we told everybody, listen, you're going to see that Darius Robinson is not going to be out there every single snap. He's going to have a very tiny menu of plays that he is out there for. The workload is going to be small. And then once they see how he reacts and recovers from that, they'll add more to his plate. That would be how you would handle an injury like that, regardless of how long the player has been in the league. But then you add on top of it that it's a rookie who didn't get a full training camp, didn't get to play in the preseason, and now is walking in to game 12 of the season trying to help a team that at that point was trying to make the postseason. It's a lot. So you went through that last season. It should inform the way you put together this plan. There's also a difference that Walter suffered this injury while he was training on his own. So it happened a little bit ago. So a longer runway for him to be able to train and be ready and not miss 11 games the way Darius Robinson did. And the team is saying that it is different than the injury that Darius Robinson suffered a year ago. So that's also encouraging, potentially, that it will be a shorter runway. But some of the same pitfalls of a rookie player not getting a full training camp, not getting that syllabus lesson, right? Those first couple of weeks in college where you're getting up to speed with your professor and what's expected of you, right? He doesn't get that now. And so he's going to be thrown right into the fire. Now, first round pick, you expect him to be able to hit the ground running, but that's a tough ask of Walter Nolen. So I don't know, not necessarily the worst way for the season to start for the Arizona Cardinals, but obviously not the best because it wasn't just Walter Nolen. Bilal Nichols, BJ Ojulari, put on the PUP list, the active PUP list ahead of camp on Tuesday. More procedural moves than anything else. Both of those guys are still recovering from injuries that took place last season. Nichols played in just 6 games because of a neck injury, and Ojulari's coming off the torn ACL that he had last year in training camp. And so injuries already a focus, a main focus of the Cardinals training camp, and not where you want to start 2 days in.
No, and
a week or two maybe before the first injury, but no, day one.
I understand it's not Kyler Murray, but Walter Nolen was supposed to, and still can, be an impact player for this football team in his first year. And I'm not saying they need him to be an impact player, but that was an area they really struggled in. Stopping the run is going to be a focus for this defense. And without him, gosh, you're just thinning out a position and already that you need to make major adjustments and additions to in the offseason. It's a big hit.
Just going to ask a lot of Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson in the early stages of the season, although I think that was the plan anyway. I don't think Walter Nolen and Darius Robinson were going to be the quote-unquote starters along the defensive line.
No.
I think they were already going to be with a smaller workload capacity at the beginning of the season, and the veterans were going to lead the charge. I said this either last week or the week before that as the season progressed, I think it would kind of flip, that those veterans would be relied on less and less, and the workload for the young players would increase as the season goes on. So that can still be the plan. You just have to adjust a little bit. And while trying to get ready for the season and get ready for that opening week contest and the grind of a 17-game schedule, You don't want too many things moving on you this early. You don't want to have to make this many adjustments this early because we all know the adjustments that you're going to have to make over the course of a season. We know that guys are going to miss time. We know that there are going to be weeks where you may not have your starting right tackle or your starting center, or James Conner might be a little banged up and he gets a week off or something like that. Without knowing the specifics, that those types of things, those types of scenarios pop up over the course of a season. The last thing you want is before you even get to the first preseason game, you're dealing with a wrench being thrown into your plan, because Walter Nolen was very clearly, obviously part of the Cardinals' plan at this position, because they overhauled the entire group, the entire room this offseason, and they have been dealt a major blow. Might be a little hyperbolic, might be a little strong, but this is not nothing. This is not a nothing burger.
No. And you're going to have to ask more now of guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, like Calais Campbell. That switch may not happen with Walter Nolen this year now, right? Or if it does happen, maybe it's later than we projected or that the team projected, so you might need more out of Calais Campbell. Does that differentiate how you approach training camp with him? Are you looking to lengthen him out rather than kind of go full go here in the first few weeks? All of those things become a factor too.
And because this happened when it did, I think the Cardinals are always going to err on the side of caution. They're always going to take their time with this. Walter Nolen is not going to be rushed back, especially because he's a rookie, especially because the injury happened here before training camp even began. Just not the news. So much positivity, so much upbeatness to this team, this franchise going into training camp. And we're going to open hour number 2 of the program talking about one thing that the Cardinals have done better than almost every other team in the NFL going into training camp. And that should be the focus. There should be positivity. So to get this news kind of dropped on us yesterday, it was just a disappointment. I know Walter Nolen more than likely is going to be on the field at some point this season. We're going to get to see him be a really good player for this team. That stuff's still going to happen, but you just wanted to get off on the right start, get off on the right foot, especially because we just went through this last year with Darius Robinson. And you just wanted to continue the positive vibes of this entire offseason right into training camp, into preseason, into the start of the year. And unfortunately, very quickly, we've been reminded that sports are funny sometimes in the way that they bring us back to reality very, very quickly.